Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Co-Creating with AI. And this time around, we're going to talk about how Multiply is building towards a world of unlimited human potential. I'm Martin Kjellström, and with me is my co-host Rasmus. How are you today, Rasmus?
Very good. I had an amazing day. Started with my daughter in the park, got shitloads done at work. Like one of those days when it's just like, wow. Um, and then had a nice workout before doing this. So yeah, full on, but fun. How was yours?
Yeah, equally awesome. Yeah, we're having good flow in the office right now. I really feel that we're accomplishing a lot, and I think that's fitting for today's theme, unlimited human potential. What does that mean for you, Rasmus?
Well, I mean, so we're going to concretely talk about how we're building for that future, right? For a future of
Yeah.
unlimited human potential. But I think just to start with it, I always love defining things and just human potential that can be both spoken of individually, right? What is
Mm.
my potential? Not only what I can do now, but what is my potential to, I guess, create and live the life I want, and of course create for myself and others. And then if you multiply that across people, and of course we're going to talk about AI as well in the world we're in, and organizations, human potential is of course something we do together, right? So
Mm.
there's a potential in me and there's potential in you, but there is a larger potential in the we. So yeah, I'd say something like that. Like I think the word speaks almost for itself, but it's really about like there's something personal in potential. I feel, and
Mm.
there's something deeply human in striving towards our potential. And
Yeah.
there we can go like talking about the spiritual route, but we can also just talk like in life, just very concretely, like building things, accomplishing things for yourself, your family, and your company.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess we
How about
both
you?
agree that um, when we talk about unlimited human potential, that it's, as you started out saying, both for humans and for humanity, to lift humanity to its ultimate potential as well. And working with co-creation, building things through relationships, through each person doing what they are best at, and then combining forces into a greater good. I think that's our shared vision that has been the purpose of Multiply from the start.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's like a very good point there before we dive into kind of the nuts and bolts of things. That like in my view as well, like co-creation is really a tool, a way to human potential, to unlimited human
Mm.
potential, because I can accomplish more for me and for you by working together with you in co-creation. And the interesting thing is, I mean, this is so obvious, but it's easy to forget, right? It's very tough to become really good at something all by yourself from scratch, right? All right, we talk about self-taught nowadays, right? You know, self-taught programmer. Yeah, sure, but you've got a lot of material there. You didn't just, open up a terminal and started playing around. You've studied, you've looked at YouTube videos, you've been at Quora, you've been at Stack Overflow, you've done 100 Days of Code, whatever you've done, right? You've worked with people. So I think there's something like just like very deeply connected in that our like development journey or human journey towards our potential is really a co-creative journey. Um, yeah, I don't think I'm not sure that added so much to what you said, but I don't know. It speaks to me deeply, like the deep
Mm.
connection between those two.
There's something super interesting in how one question that people are talking about a lot in AI is how will it be like to interact with the superhuman intelligence? But we are like, as soon as we are working in networks, we are interacting with the superhuman intelligence because we, as a network or a graph of people, we are um, able to be superhuman. A group of people or a network of people the larger there is, the more superhuman it is, because a network is always more capable than any individual.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I've mentioned this quote in an earlier episode, but I really love what the founder of Stability AI said, which is swarm intelligence is bigger than AGI. And I think
Mm,
that's actually by definition, in the sense that even if you put in, like, we have an AGI, that AGI will accomplish more in a network of other, you know, people and intelligences of different kinds. So yeah, and also, just the act of learning, right? I mean, even a super intelligence will have to use data, and
mm,
data is generated, and so yeah, I think there's really something like very close to our hearts there, and in AI as well. I mean, it's so funny, like how just these, like how these models work, because it's really like, yeah, you can say this is one AI model, but it's the synthesis of incredible amounts of creative effort and
mm,
co-creative effort in just building the vast data set that is the internet, which is the primary training data for this generation of models.
mm.
Um, so
So if we
yeah,
take this ultimate vision of unlimited human potential and we bring it back to, all the way back to, what are we building in Multiply today? What is Multiply, and what are the fundamental building blocks of Multiply?
sure. I mean, I'd say in one way to phrase it is that we're building a collaboration network, a collaboration graph. And what do we mean by that? Well, I mean, you can take the simile of we have social networks, Facebook, where you can share content and like things, and you have professional networks like LinkedIn, where you can brag about your job and recruit people and search for jobs. And but none of them are really built for like collaboration. Collaboration is something that is very
Mm,
specific to whatever you're doing. Different companies work in very different ways, just in the way they organize themselves and the way people co-create within them. um, so what is needed there is a huge amount of flexibility, and a really good ability to use data and set up things the way you want to, if you're going to be able to work not only in isolated silos like most collaboration tools out there, but actually collaborate very fluidly with any user. So I would say that, and this is like taking the building blocks, and then let's visualize this for the audience, I think. But like that, we have a global graph, we have an extremely flexible kind of no code model where you can define both the data model, the model in the MVC kind of framework, how it looks, like the view of things, like how you interact with it, and the controllers, like what you can do with the actual functionality, which means you can set up like very advanced workflows. And I'd say the third thing is, of course, that AI is native in all of this. So anything that you can do on Multiply, which is like a very, very simple Apple Notes style workspace, beautifully simple, we like to say, but where anything that you can do, AI can do. And AI understands whatever you want to do generally, because the way it's set up. And this means that not only human intelligences can collaborate in this network with these flexible types of workflows that can interconnect across the graph, and operate on these data set that are still like strictly owned by whoever put them there. But that means that both human and artificial intelligences can collaborate without friction, without artificial boundaries, data silos. That is traditionally the case in all collaboration products. So I think from ground up, we've really thought this through. We're still early stage, of course, but like in a longer term vision, like just to sort of put it together, I really like envision us working like many, many, many organizations and people, hundreds of millions, together with many, many, many different AI models that are applied as agents with very, very specific data sets and very, very specific goals and sets of tools that they can utilize through our platform, which of course
mm,
integrates with other tools, plugins, etc.
Yeah.
I hope that's not too vague. I'm sure it's not for you. I hope it's not for the listener.
Yeah.
But when you hear that, how would you phrase it? Like, what would you add? What would you sort of boil it down to? Could you like, what's the simplest way you would describe what we're building?
I can just pick up on what I think are the key phrases in what you just talked about, which is like the main interface is a very simple Apple Notes or a notepad like interface where you can type text, put images, upload documents, and organize all of your knowledge and information. And tools like that are plentiful. There are lots of tools. But in the other end of the vision and how we support an unlimited potential both for individuals and for humanity as a whole is that in the other end is the global collaboration graph that I'm never in the long-term vision of multiply alone in my work. I can always connect someone else into what I'm working on, and it's not multiply is not only a space for planning my work, it's a place to do work. I can write, I can create, I can create images, files, presentations, videos from within multiply, and I can do that in collaboration with humans and AI from all over the world. And so from a very simple notepad like interface to the global collaboration graph and back again. To me, that's the essence of multiply.
Yeah, and I think there's one interesting, like, I really agree. And if there's one thing I would add that I sort of, when I pitch the current kind of very, like when I introduce the current, version of Multiply, where we are now to people, there's only one thing that I sort of want to add, which is that, at least for me, and I think for most people, there's pretty good research on it. We spend a lot of time on repetitive, mundane work that is not necessarily where we are not necessarily the ones who need to do it because we now have AI, things
Mm,
that can be automated by AI. So I think I want to just add that within this very, very beautifully simple notepad, we have our own like AI app store, the Multiply app store, where you can very easily for like a huge number of different use cases, click, one click, and you have a fully functioning set of workflows for example, producing the content out of the transcript from this podcast, which is something we use ourselves every week. Um, and that really takes, like, I think, in terms of human potential, right? Like, it's not only that human potential is something that is enabled by tools in each other, it's also something that is held back by different types of limitations and burdens. And one of them is time, and especially spending time on things um, which are not the most valuable for me as an individual or for what I'm trying to accomplish, my company, my team, my family, etc. So I really like, and I think that's the beauty of where AI fits into this, vision of unlimited human potential and how co-creation takes us there. Because like the way I like really envision multiply within a year probably is that I'll have all of the like I'll have a set of agents that I'm working with and where I'm continuously helped by Multiply to take those parts of my work where I am actually not needed, like where I'm not needed, and having AI do that. And that means that I can, really employ myself where I both personally grow the most, but also where I move the needle most. I mean, just taking the company, right?
mm,
There are things where I spend a lot of time where I'm, that it's if I didn't have to do it, I would be able to, spend more time with customers and etc. So there's
mm,
something like repetitive work, the removal of it, and how that enables human potential. I
mm,
think there's something beautiful there also that is the other side of. Now I'm ranting a little bit, but that's on the other side of this fear of the losing of jobs. We said that with like plowing the fields as well, but then again, like plowing the fields manually is not super healthy for your back, or maybe the thing that most people want to do in their lives. I mean, proven, right? So I think that's really like a beautiful part of like how AI fits into this future, is that it really can free us up to really, really spend our time more aligned with, who we are and what we want.
Mm. And uh, and there is one aspect of what you just talked about, which is single player AI versus multiplayer AI. That all the AI
Yeah.
tools we use are single player now. They're just for ourselves. And with Multiply, we want to move AI towards multiplayer, where AI is assisting collaboration, not only individual productivity, but productivity in the collective.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think on that point is something interesting as well, is that it's not only that current AI tools are essentially single player and primarily affecting single player productivity, which I fully agree with. It's only also that every existing AI tool is actually an assistant. It's not a coworker. And I don't know about you guys, but like, I think you feel the same, Martin. But if I can choose between working with six assistants, one marketing assistant, one product assistant, one, I don't know, finance assistant, that I have to, and by assistant, I don't mean anything like degrading. I just like define it in the way that I have to be very specific about exactly what I want. Like I have to tell it every time I want one of these models to do something, one of these tools, and taking that instead to a coworker where it can have more autonomy, where and we're building this very concretely by our apps, and we're building more and more autonomy into our apps so they can take on more and more complex tasks and routines and repetitive workflows. Um, that means in essence that like this tool is really co-creating with me, right, which we've touched upon many times
Mm.
before, instead of me just telling it what to do, and then getting really good output, but like being able to interact with, I mean, multiply also, we not spoiling it, but you'll get it when like within a month or two, um, like it really will feel like working with another coworker, working with the multiply AI and agents,
Mm.
similar to, you would work with someone else in Google Docs.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's just, I don't know, that popped up for me to sort of bring it also like relatively concretely at least. Um, what else comes up for you, like around this angle? Like what are you excited about?
Yeah, and well, one aspect is that Multiply is multimodal. Modal. We're
Right.
building from the standpoint of a notepad, but and which is of course about text, but we're moving towards a much richer um, work environment with images, text, video, audio, and bringing all of that together, accessible and creatable by humans and AI.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's interesting. I was playing around with website copy the other day, which I'm updating now, and I was just something with like from like multimodal and multimodal, in the sense that it's not only that, I mean, because there are like more and more, and it's coming fast,
Mm,
that individual models are becoming multimodal, in the sense that you can interact with ChatGPT, so at least like with some demos I've seen of alphas and
yeah.
betas, you can like, it can generate images, I think using Dolly, for you in the chat. So that's
Mm,
multimodal, but that's still one model. And
mm,
there are different models with different strengths, which we can nerd into if you want to, like Claude with their context window, and there's real benefits to the new stability or stable diffusion kind of image gen model, which we're
mm,
using. So you can generate images right inside of Multiply and have that as part of workflows. So I think there's like, I really agree with your point that like having more modals enables more powerful, what we would call AI apps, like more
mm,
powerful workflows to be done autonomously by AI. But it's also like having multiple models and being able to use each for what it's best at in a fluid sense, like within one workspace, within one network, on the same data set, so to say.
mm,
Think is something that I at least really like already appreciate. Just like when I run this our podcast pro app, and I paste the transcript in, and then press generate, and then it just takes a transcript, generates the description for the podcast platforms, generates an image prompt, and then generates the image. from the transcript, and then extracts the key topics, and for each of them generates a social boost, which is like a tweet, an Instagram caption with an image, a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, etc. And just seeing the nuances it utilizes when it runs all those kind of chain prompts in that app is yeah, I mean, and especially with the images coming in there, there's something that becomes like much more alive, and I really like looking forward when we're gonna start bringing audio into it, which might be the
Mm.
next one, I would guess, for us, but we'll see.
Yeah.
um,
And and then to also move towards um, what you said about breaking down the silos. And something that is so funny to me is that we're this year AI has exploded and changed everything, how we do everything in just our daily work life. And I find myself having become a copy and paste master. Like, oh
yeah.
wow, we have this AI now that can help me with everything. So I'm copy and pasting between browser windows and apps like a madman to achieve the workflows I want to achieve. And that's not the promise of AI, right? That we end up in a lot of pain just trying to get information between different systems that are AI enabled.
No, it's so funny. I mean, as well, you're like our, and I often brag about just like probably one of the best prompt engineers out there, at least who's done the coolest stuff that I've heard about. And it's just funny, like looking at your like Apple Notes, right? It's just full of prompts. It's just full of prompts that you store in your Apple Notes, copy paste, play in sequence. Of course, less now with multiply, right?
Yeah.
Much less, but now that we've sort of come to a good stage of the
Mm.
product. But it's just interesting, that whole thing, and I think that sort of brings it to like, if we just look at like why we believe multiply will be around in 10 years, like if we do this right, or in 20 years or 30 years. um, it's because like in this new age, it's like if you can bring your data, whether you're a person or a company, and then it can be made available for AI, whether that's us using AI to take your unstructured data, PDFs, documents, etc., structure them, link them, which we can do automatically, um, and then run embeddings on them, which we're not doing yet but will soon. And then you can then utilize your data without it being shared with anyone, but utilize, say, a set of apps and agents built on multiply. And these agents and apps are of course continuously improved by the community, which is
Mm.
like another thing I want to get into. But like just that first thing that you have, like that you can put data in multiply, and that's why you built the data model this way, like a flexible data model on a graph, on a global graph, for those who relate to those kind of words. And then being able to self-organize that data and make it available for AI, and then use that data, make like that data is now available for AI to be deployed in very specific ways by our like apps, workflows, and agents. That is like what I believe is like a very defensible position,
Mm.
where like that brings a lot of value, that just becomes bigger because the global graph. Because if you and I can securely, and we just take two people now, let's not even imagine like a million people doing this together, right? Unless you want to. Uh, just the two of us bringing in our data, and with full individual ownerships, being able to, for some specific purpose, utilize that data
Mm.
for a common purpose by making it available for AI without, giving up the ownership of it. That's something very, very powerful. And I could be very like visionary here, but I'll just leave it to the listener. I think just like there's a lot of stuff possible when you if we really succeed in enabling that, like for large amounts of people.
Mm.
I think in terms of like just collective intelligence and utilizing AI to be collectively smarter. But yeah, now I tend to go on these rants. So like I want to throw it back to you, like with just like the basic kind of co-creative element, the community element of multiply, and like with app building and etc. Like would you
Mm.
would you want to like talk a little bit about that? I know you've like always been passionate about it.
Yeah, and this comes down to the fundamental fact of any global graph like Wikipedia or Facebook, that only a few percent of the users are ever going to be creators, and the rest are going to be consumers. And of course, in a collaboration tool, everybody is collaborating, but uh, perhaps only a few people are going to build the apps and the structures for doing that collaboration. And so so what we're building with the Multiply App Store is the possibility for people to build their apps and share them to the community, and then see people build on top of them and refine and build apps that work together. So we get not only individual apps, but apps that are uh, like a graph of apps working together to achieve greater goal. And and that's perhaps when we start to see the apps moving towards being agents,
Yeah,
and where where all of that is not only in the future but here and now is that it's solving a really um, concrete problem for me as a prompt engineer, that when I develop a prompt or a chain of prompts, then transferring that knowledge to the rest of organizations is always a pain, because there are things that I do that are not in the prompts, that the way I tweak content before I move on to the next step in a chain of prompts. With Multiply, I can model that, build that, and test it on diverse content before handing it over to people, and then it becomes just push and play. I can build a workflow that is replayable by others. They don't have to be prompt engineers. They can just be build on top what I did, or just use what I did without having to even understand what's going on in the prompts and how they work together to end up with a great result.
I think that's a really good point. Like, I also think it's interesting. Like, I saw this video of, like, I think there's an Instagram account called like "Twitter's not the world" or "The world is not Twitter" or something, and they were going around asking people like Chat GPT, and people like, no, it's bad for the environment, and like they had no idea what it was. And I think it's also like easy to be fooled by the incredible growth curve of Chat GPT, and be fooled to think that a lot of people's daily work is done by AI already. Like,
Mm,
I don't have data on this, but I feel quite confident that it's a very, 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 very small percentage of the aggregate amount of knowledge work, repetitive knowledge work, that is done by AI at this point.
mm,
And I think what you're saying is like, the near term huge potential, disregarding like the vision and everything else that we've like, the way we built our technology, and what it will enable on like a network level, just making it really, really easy for people to co-create with AI. you know, just
yes.
co-create with AI. Just like bring it into your life, get rid of the boring stuff, and get better quality in the fun
Mm,
stuff. Um, or just like, if you're just doing fun stuff, then do more of the fun stuff, because it's always fun to get more done, like you
mm,
like talked about before. Maybe that could be a slogan. It's always fun to get more done. I don't know. Yeah, so there's some, like, I really love that point, actually, like making it easy for anyone to automate repetitive work, and create much, much more
yeah,
with high quality.
yeah. And then to bring that just one uh, step further, which is really tickling my imagination, is that when we say that anyone can create an app that is and share it to the community, anyone includes AI agents. So an
Yeah.
AI can create an app and share it to the community. And to me, that's a great leap of imagination that I'm really looking forward to, like, meeting reality very soon.
I mean, it's not really that big of an imagination. You just have to write one sentence right now with our app creation prompt, and we can generate an app, including the prompts and everything. But like having an agent autonomously deciding to create an app, yeah, I agree. That's gonna be, or like realizing that you ask it to do something, and then it realizes that I will, like, I need to create an app for you. Like, yeah, I agree, there's something like really cool, because like that an AI could create another agent, another app, there's something there that's really like
When
exponential.
the AI start realizing, shit, I need to automate my repetitive work. I'm doing far more too much repetitive work here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think like it's funny, but weren't you like, wasn't you like you were playing around with asking an AI the same thing like 20 times? No, you were in a channel that someone did it, right?
Yeah, that was
Did
one of the unaligned AIs that became
okay.
angry with the user just asking for the same thing over and over.
That's so funny. Like that's going to
Yeah.
be so interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I love this episode, Martin. Feel maybe it's coming to a close. What do you feel? Do you have
Yes.
anything final you want to sort of get out of your imagination and vision?
I think we end up with the high note on the AI automating its repetitive work.
Yeah.
So let's close it up here. Anything, any last point you want to make?
No, I think I've ranted enough, but yeah, it's been really fun. Like I love, like it's actually fun to talk about not only what we're doing here and now and like the value we're bringing to users and like
Mm.
product planning, etc. But like taking the time to sort of just stay with the vision, which we've stayed for, of course, building this, but to just talk about it. So I'm looking forward to
Yes.
do that more. Let's see how this plays out in recording. But it was fun.
So, yes. So, thank you, listener, for being with us today, all the way to the end of this episode about the long term vision of Multiply, fulfilling humans and humanity's unlimited potential with Multiply. See you next time. And this has been a co creating with AI episode. Thanks, Rasmus.
Thanks, Martin.